realize it, you know, that I left him, and he cried so that I left him. I used to wash his teeth in the morning, and you know, that was it. So you know that I was pretty clean all the time. Well, these little things. Now, if you want to go deeper, I start when I got to be about 12 years old already. Then through the circus that I've had an inkling about, you know, I start again. In show business in my days, they paid no money. The best singer, one of them got $25 a week. And I had great ambitions to make money because I thought of this large family. I took responsibility for all the kids, my father and mother and so forth, see? So I said, what's this in my life here? It's terrible. I've got to get out of there. So I start drifting again, back again with carnivals and what do you call it, fairs and carnivals, and I start first working, then I start having little concessions of my own, and I became a concessionaire, and I went from city to city, different jumps to Detroit, Chicago. Oh, I'll tell you an incident that I forgot to mention there. During the time that one of my travels, when I ran away, I wound up in Chicago, and I was singing these songs. So there was a portable house by the name of Sam T. Jacks in Chicago. They heard me somewhere in the saloon or something, and they gave me a job for $15 a week there. Then from there, a guy came along from the Chicago Opera House and hired me to sing as an accompanist from the gallery to Lillian Russell. She was singing, and I learned the song from them, and I accepted the $15 or $20 a week, and that was considered good salaries. I was 11 years old. So, and then it was the idea that I'm already an actor, you see. She was singing, you are the boy for me, you're my infinity, and then she asked the audience to sing the chorus with her. You understand? So I would sing my voice, which overshadowed all the rest of them, and everybody stopped to hear me sing the chorus from the gallery. See? After a while, she wanted to see me, so she got a hold of me. She took a hold of me and put me on her lap. She was a big, fat cow. And I hated her like hell. I couldn't. She kept on kissing me, you know. You're my boy, you're coming with me. You're my boy, you're my boy. And I used to watch how they used to tighten her over the corset. She was a terrible fat pig. Although she was supposed to be the prettiest woman in the world, you know, in America.
She was Diamond Jim Brady's sweetheart.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was Diamond Jim Brady's sweetheart and many others. But of course, I had no idea what all that meant at that time. And I didn't want to go with her at all. I just thought I'd go back to things to make real money, show business. I saw that, what can I make, $15, $20? I wanted to make real money, you know, and I couldn't make it. So I kept on bumming around in different things again. I wound up back in New York again, and then the Buffalo exhibition started in 1901, and I got a job there for guessing weights. Guess your weight, pay a nickel. If I can't guess it, cost you nothing. And lo and behold, I was there. President McKinley came down to the exhibition. And one of the days, I can't remember the exact date, but I was about 100 yards away. President McKinley was shot. I heard the shot. So I heard the shot, but he was killed by a Polish revolutionary. And from there, we went to Coney Island, and then we opened up there the what do you call it, the Luna Park, the first exhibition. Inducement ballyhoo was to electrocuting an elephant. And I was there guessing weights, and then I start making up little ditties and what do you call it, also start working and buying concessions with Daisy rifle, dot gallery, knives. We'd buy knives for $1.60 a gross and put them in racks like and sell 10 rings for a dime. Guaranteed that you'll ring a knife and everybody wins. And I started from there to go on one concession after another and followed through. Did this for 5, 6 years. And I started opening up after that. I didn't like that business. I wanted to get out of it. So I had a partner of mine, a fellow named Sam Sager. And we opened up the first, we had a store. Can you stop for a minute?
Yeah, listen, you were telling about Sam Sager.
Well, we wanted to always get into a business, legitimate real estate, jewelry business, novelty business.
Go ahead.
So we opened up a store on Salem Street, and we were starving. We were doing no business. So I conceived the idea. I had as a concession at one time a fellow called, he was petrified and ossified freak of nature. He belonged to a farmer, that is, he was son of a farmer in Maine. And I had him for a month one time, and I did pretty well with him. And this is a genuine freak of nature that I've never heard, nobody ever heard of anything like that, where a human being practically turned to stone. He frigid like that and laid all the way like that. If you touched here, he turned right around altogether. He couldn't. And so I gave the farmer $200, and he gave them to me. He says, you can hold them for as long as you want it. It was in the winter time. And I put on a pedestal, that is a kind of a hole, and wherein his body could lay on a wide thing like this, see, about that far. His legs stuck out and his head and body stuck in the bank. All he had under him was this
Platform.
What was it?
Some kind of a pedestal.
A pedestal, yes, held him up. But he was like one piece, absolutely legitimate. And I made the pedestal where you could turn him around. This, if you turned this foot, his head came around the other way. And I put a nurse in there, a Red Cross nurse, and I put an enclosure, and put the nurse on top, and Kilpatrick was lying flat like this here on this pedestal. And I went outside, and I had a canvas built around this particular individual, and I stood in front of the store as a boxer, and I had the mayor come in and see this freak of nature. As Kilpatrick, the petrified, ossified man, I made a speech up for it. Come and see the greatest freak of nature that you ever hear in all your life, ever seen ever in your life, has mystified the medical profession and science, and the mystery is still unsolved. You will never have an opportunity to see a freak of nature of this kind. Here's the genuine recommendation from the medical profession, saying how they can't imagine how this human being can live this way. And here he is alive, and come and see this great preacher free in charge. I put him in sort of the back with this enclosure like that, so they'd come in to see this freak of nature for nothing, free. As they pass by, they're passing by the jewelry store, you know, they're inside, and they start seeing what we're selling. And I started our business, and we finally got going in that business. And then we didn't last too long, and it was a small town, Salem, Massachusetts, and there was no more stunts that we could pull off there to draw the trade. And then we went away and for another season, and we opened up again after it in Springfield, Massachusetts. And there we had a store, We rented a store in the heart of Springfield, Massachusetts, in the main thoroughfare. And we rented this store. Beside us was two other big merchants, and they did a lot of advertising. And we had no money to advertise, so instead of advertising they did, I put on a big sign in front, main entrance. Main entrance. And I advertised. I didn't spend nothing for advertising, and we started doing business. And these merchants objected to me having this sign up there.
In between their stores.
And this was in what do you call it, in Springfield, Massachusetts. They couldn't make me take. I simply said main entrance. That's all. Mitchell and Sager, little department store. So. Well, we're open down there, so they tried to kill us. We were advertising national advertised merchandise, which you couldn't sell for less money, such as Gillette razors, Waterman fountain pens, Waltham watches. We advertised them for almost half the price. The law was against us. There were contracts made between the factories, and they could register these prices. And the government protected them. This is before the Sherman Act came into being. And we received telegrams from these companies threatening to sue us for millions of dollars. And I took the telegrams and put them out in the window. Just turned around and I showed them what bargains they can get out there, and I started really doing business. And I stayed in that business, and I opened up another store in Haverhill. And for some reason or other, it dried up. Our business, we were just ahead of time. We were the originators of merchandising, advertised goods. What do they call those big companies that I brought them out here? We were price cutters.
Yeah.
What do they call these stores they opened up here in California?
Discount?
Discount house.
Discount.
We were the first discount house.
Now, was this before you were working for Sadie's father? How did that, when did you meet Sadie in Coney Island?
No, Sadie, this was during that time already. I was in love with Sadie. I met her in a dance in New York. And I was going back and forth to New York, back again, in the winter, make some money, go back there, and drifting around.
Well, you described her as having a sad face. You said she
was a very beautiful, simple little woman, or girl, I should say. And I fell in love with her, and she with me. But she was already 19, I was only 16. And she naturally wanted to get married. She'd stay, do anything I asked her to do, but I felt I couldn't get married. So I had a friend of mine, a boyfriend friend of mine. We were very chummy. He was a diamond cutter. And he went along every time I took Sadie out. We took Louis along with us, Louis Schrager. And it got very serious. We fell in love with one another, the three of us. We just couldn't part at night. We'd take one home, and then the two of us would take the other home, and then we couldn't part. We'd start all over again. It would last till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It was really love, true love, like youngsters who have.